Okay, boys, should we run through our brackets here quickly to finish off this episode?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to post these as well, like Chad mentioned. So, Case, let's get a run through of your bracket first. Take it away.
So, starting with the first round again, like recap, or just get rid?
Yeah, recap it.
So in the West, I've got Colorado beating Seattle in 6 games. I have Dallas beating Minnesota in 6 games. Vegas in 5 over Winnipeg, and Edmonton in 7 over LA. Edmonton then walks right past Vegas to the Western Conference Finals. Dallas beats Colorado. I then have Dallas beating Edmonton to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. In the East, I have Boston in 4. Toronto in 6 over Tampa, Carolina in 7, and the Devils in 7 over the Rangers. This next one, was the one I had the hardest time deciding on. My bias got the best of me, and the fact that Carolina is going to be even more beaten up than they are already going into this playoffs. I took the Devils to beat Carolina. I have Boston beating Toronto. They always beat them, and they're the best they've ever been. How could they not do it again? But frankly, whoever wins that series, I think will win the cup. So I have Boston beating the Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals. Say that 3 times fast. Say that once, I guess. And then I have Boston beating Dallas and upsetting my bank account as I put a future in early December on Dallas winning the Stanley Cup. Boston wins the Stanley Cup. My tiebreaker, 37 goals. That's 6 goals a game in a 6-game series, as Boston wins in 6, plus 1 extra goal in 1 game.
Nice. Speaking of Dallas, some really good odds on J-Rob right now to win the MVP. Plus 4,000 I saw today. Someone posted that. So if you're looking at MVP
season.
Yeah, if you're looking at MVPs for the playoffs here, Conn Smythe, maybe look at J-Rob, because this Dallas team is good.
Yeah.
And my bracket reflects that here too. So starting in the West, Colorado over Seattle in 5 games. Dallas over Minnesota in 6, Vegas over Winnipeg in 7, Edmonton over LA in 7. Second round in the West, Dallas upsetting a depleted Colorado lineup, Edmonton walking Vegas, like you said, Case, and then Dallas and Vegas in the Western Conference Finals. I had a tough time with this, but I decided that Edmonton would get the edge here, so they're going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. And surprise, surprise, I have an all-Canadian final, which I'll get to. In the East, Boston over Florida in 5 games, Toronto over Tampa Bay in 6, Carolina over the New York Islanders in 6, and the New York Rangers over the New Jersey Devils in 7. Then I have my Maple Leafs beating the best of all time Boston Bruins, because wouldn't that be a treat to watch? And if Toronto gets through the first round and has to play Boston, wouldn't that be an absolute shit show? But also just absolute cinema to watch those 2 series back to back, and Toronto exercise their demons and get over the hump, beating both of those teams.
So, I want to interject. Yeah. That's what I was saying. I said whoever wins the Boston-Toronto series would win the cup, because if Toronto can beat Tampa Bay and Boston, they are fearless going into the rest of the rounds. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who's going to beat them?
Yeah.
The only thing that would make it better would be then to play Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals, which they did in 2002 and lost. But I have the New York Rangers beating Carolina in the second round, and then the Eastern Conference Finals, I have my Maple Leafs beating the Rangers, and then in the finals, I have my Maple Leafs beating the Oilers. And again, like I mentioned, if I didn't pick the Maple Leafs to win, and they did, I would feel like the biggest dum-dum of all time. I have to for my fandom, but I also think they have a pretty damn good team on paper too. And my tiebreaker is 39 goals in the series in 7 games.
Nice. All right. Interesting that the common theme here with our brackets is that the Dallas Stars are going to go deep. But again, it's not that surprising, because we're all pretty high on Dallas. So, and my bracket reflects that as well. So Colorado over Seattle in round 1, taking the Avalanche in 6. I've got Dallas over Minnesota in 7, Vegas over Winnipeg in 6 games, and the Oilers over the LA Kings in 6. Vegas onto the second round against Edmonton. The Oilers take care of that series. Then I've got Dallas over the defending Stanley Cup champs, the Avs. Edmonton and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. I've got Edmonton moving on in that series. And then over in the East, Boston takes care of Florida in 5. The Leafs over the Lightning. I think they win it on the road in 6. Carolina in 7 over the Islanders. The Rangers over the Devils in 6. Then I've got the Rangers beating the Carolina Hurricanes. And sorry, Chad, I've got the Bruins over the Maple Leafs, although I could see that series going another 7 games like we've seen in the past. So Eastern Conference Finals, New York Rangers back to the Final Four for the second straight year, but they lose to the Boston Bruins. So an Edmonton-Boston final, and I have Connor McDavid and the Oilers hoisting the Stanley Cup. 35 goals in that final series, and I think it goes 6 or 7 games. So that's my bracket. I've got McDavid and the Oilers winning the Stanley Cup.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't an all-Canadian final be something? I like that bracket that you've got going on, but all 3 of ours are pretty solid, I think. And, well, I mean, we say that, and then it'll be... like, we know it's going to be screwed after round 1 for sure. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Except for yours, Case, shaking your head there.
Oh, no, I was, like, shaking my head at how every year the playoffs are all just broken in the first round because there's so much parity in this league.
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking to Remy today, actually, and he was like, yeah, here are my picks. I think the East, like, my picks are pretty much a lock, and I think in the West there's one series I'm, like, not so sure about, but I'm pretty sure it's a lock. And I'm like, yeah, dude, they look good, but what happens in, 4 days from now when you've got some random teams up 2-0 in a series and you're changing all your picks? Like, it's one of those things, man. The NHL, like, anything can happen in the playoffs, which is why it's the best sport on earth.